We like to think of ourselves as one of the leading educators of sports officials on the planet. And we do that through Referee Magazine and tons of other books, newsletters, and digital content every single day. So there's lots of opportunity to learn and be part of something. It's about respect. It's about a national organization like the NFHS having enough respect for us to partner with us because of the brand that we've built and the work that we've done. It shows respect. And it also shows respect for sports officials because these governing bodies that are purchasing all these things are showing respect by investing in officiating. Way more than about the numbers. That to me, what's most important, what to us here in Racine is most important. So that relationship continues to expand. The summit support from the NFHS is huge, and the state associations is huge. Association advantage is one of the best things we do, and it's probably the least talked about. Association advantage in a nutshell is an association for associations. In many, many state offices, the local associations are the lifeblood of it. They do all the training, all the recruiting, all the support, sometimes assigning, sometimes evaluating. We started in an organization more than 3 decades ago now, to support local associations.
And now, episode 15, letter N, National Association of Sport Officials. Join host Dana Pappas with special guest Bill Topp on the From A to Zebra podcast.
Welcome back to the From A to Zebra podcast. I'm Dana Pappas. My co-host Nate Acosta is unavailable to join this episode as the friendly skies we're calling him. On this episode, we're covering the letter N, and our guest, NASO President Bill Topp, will be talking with us about NASO, the National Association of Sports Officials. This is going to be a great episode so we can educate our listeners about the organization that really you've heard us talk about on basically every single episode of From A to Zebra this far. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dana. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for taking the time. We know things are busy in Racine, Wisconsin. We're going to learn about where you are and why you're there and all that good stuff later in the show. But before we really dive into the nuts and bolts of NASO, we'd really love for you to tell the audience a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about your officiating experience and how your path has led you to become the president of NASO.
It's kind of a crazy, winding story like most stories, but I dabbled in baseball umpiring in the Little League when I was a teenager. So it's been going on 40 years ago, and had some fun with that as I was playing. And then they had a shortage on a field, and one of my coaches said, "Hey, go do the bases over there." And I was like 14 years old, had no idea what it was. Kind of liked it, had some fun. Did it throughout those couple of years. Then I focused on being an athlete in high school and small college. And then in small college, this is kind of crazy things, how things align sometimes, Dana. But one of my roommates, I was a baseball player at college, and one of my roommates and teammates, his father was a local baseball umpire. And he came in and was trying to get some of us baseball players to umpire that summer. I was 20 years old and in between my sophomore and junior year. And I thought that sounded pretty nice. I dabbled in it when I was a kid, so I thought I'd do it again. It sounded like a better job than some of the other ones that I was looking at. So dove all in that year and then became totally immersed in it, continued to play through the end of my small college career, but really focused on umpiring at that point in my life. And long story very short, I was also a journalism kid, a communication major, and I knew I was going to be a sports writer someday. And one of the instructors at my local training for the Local Officials Association happened to be an editor at Referee Magazine. Well, it turns out Referee Magazine was 11 miles from my college campus. I had never heard of it before, down here in southeast Wisconsin. And so we got to be friends as he was helping me, train me and everything. And I said, "What do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I'm going to be a journalism, probably going to be a sports writer." He said, "You ever heard of Referee Magazine?" I said, "Oh, I've never heard of Referee Magazine. Why would I have heard of Referee Magazine? Just a college kid who's just getting started out." So that relationship led to an internship here at Referee Magazine, which then led to them hiring me the day that I graduated. And I have been here for 34 years, so I haven't gone. Of course, Referee Magazine, Referee Enterprises is also the partner company that manages the National Association of Sports Officials. So all the people that work here in Racine work for Referee Enterprises Incorporated, producing the magazine, the books, and all the other good content that we have, the online content. They also all work for NASO, with that relationship between NASO and REI. So I've literally started here what I think is as a kid, and I'd like to still think I'm a kid, but no longer. But it's been 34 incredible years, and I've been able to grow with the company and watch the company grow. So it's been an honor and a pleasure. Then as I got my baseball career started, I started basketball right away too. So I was a high school and small college basketball referee, high school and small college, a cup of coffee at major college baseball. And then it was kind of funny, but one of my longtime assigners asked me to try football, and I love football. I played high school football. 2 sports was more than enough for me to do. And I said, I'm just not interested in adding another sport at this point. And I was still in my early 20s. And he said, well, let me rephrase my question, my request. He says, if you don't try football for 1 year, I'll never give you another baseball game as long as you live. I said, oh, so it sounds like I'm going to try football. He said, yeah, you're going to try football for 1 year. If you don't like it, you never want to do it again, I'll never bring it up again, but I want you to do football. Well, it turns out I'm still a football referee. I've loved football as much as anything because of the camaraderie and the crew and my best friends coming out of that environment. So at one point I was doing all 3, high school and small college baseball, basketball, and football. I eventually cut back and gave up basketball first, gave up baseball first, gave up basketball second, and took some time off to watch my kids play. And now I'm back refereeing high school football as a back judge on a crew. So having a blast getting back into it again.
That's awesome. It is funny how sometimes we get voluntold in this world, like, you're doing football. Wait, what? That's not what I signed up for. So it's I'm glad it stuck, because I know how much you enjoy the football officiating world, and your return to the field. Was that last year after your hiatus? I can't remember.
Yeah, last year was my first year back, and I was always a white hat crew chief. I didn't want to do that again. Kind of been there, done that, had some good experiences, and so I was asked to be on a crew with a bunch of basketball referees who are now being football referees, and they're very talented and very committed. So it's been fun to be a back judge. I'm learning a new position. I'm also getting back into it, but we've had a blast. We just had a very nice season end this past Friday for us in the playoffs. We had a great playoff game. It's been just a lot of fun to get back out there. I'm really enjoying the experience. And high school sports has always been special to me. It meant a lot to me as an athlete, and it means as much to me as an official. Being in that environment, it's just the purest level of sport, in my opinion. And I'd love being out there Friday night lights. It's just a lot of fun.
I agree with you. With my job at the NFHS, I certainly feel exactly the same way. So thank you for continuing on as a high school official. That means a lot to us in the interscholastic world for sure. So, Bill, what exactly, for those who don't know, what is NASO? What are its primary functions? How's the organization structured? Who do you serve? What's the mission? Kind of tell us about NASO, because we keep talking about it on all of our episodes, but we really haven't, in preparation for you coming on, we really haven't done a deep dive into what it is.
Thank you for the opportunity to do a commercial here briefly.
Love it.
National Association of Sports Officials is a nonprofit association founded in 1980 by Barry Mano, the longtime president of NASO, who served more than 4 decades in the president's role. It's governed by a board of directors, and we have now more than 30,000 NASO members across the country and around the globe. Last I checked, we were in 37 different countries and every state in the United States joining NASO. It's largely about 3 things. It's about education, it's about protection, and it's about advocacy. And so this nonprofit association, with our 24 staff here in Racine, we work tirelessly every single day on nothing but officiating. All things officiating. We've got the content side of it, we've got the insurance side of it, and we've got the advocacy side of it. Public relations and advocacy comes out every single day. So we're a dedicated group. This is all we've been doing. The magazine started in 1970s by Barry and investors, and association started in 1980. We've been going strong all these years.
And that's amazing. When you talk about your staff, it's small, but it's mighty. And the fact that officiating is completely in your DNA, it's what you all do. You bleed officiating. And the dedication of that staff is amazing, and just the knowledge of that staff is amazing. And so many of your staff members have been there for quite a long time as well. So I love the continuity of the staff. I think that that's been really special, that NASO family and what it brings. And it's always nice for those of us who come to various events, when we see you all, it just feels like, it feels like old home day, because it's those familiar faces. It's the people that we know are really fighting for and working for officials across all the countries. I was going to say the country, but 37 countries. I don't even think I realized that. I always think about our friends in Canada, just because of, Ron Foxcroft and Sandra Serafini and our Terry Gregson and Stephen Waka and all of our neighbors to the north, but I forget about all of the countries that it serves. That's just incredible.
Many of them on Army bases around the country, military bases around the country, but also pockets of development in other countries like South Korea and others where they don't have an association or a group like that. So people care about sports officiating all around the globe. And they have found us, obviously, mostly through the web and through our digital content. But they have joined NASO, even though in every country they may not need the insurance package or other things, but they believe in something bigger than themselves. And joining NASO has that point of pride. And our staff has that point of pride. You mentioned the veteran staff we have. We average more than 15 years per staff member here, which is off the charts. They're all on a mission. They are on a mission. And whether they've ever officiated or not, they're on the mission. They believe in what we're doing. It's a cause. It truly is a cause. We've got 9 active officials on staff. We have this old adage, this moniker. It says, by officials, for officials. That's true. We live it. We breathe it every single day. We're doing it ourselves. Our staff leaves after the day and goes and referees games and teaches local association meetings and teaches there and participates. They go observe younger officials. They assign games. They do all the things that all of our industry does. That helps us tremendously stay plugged into this industry and be on the cutting edge of all things officiating.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt. Just such a great group of people, and everything that you all do. It's always amazing to me to see the amount of work that comes out of that office. It's not just the REI side. It's everything that you're doing for advocacy, for support for officials. It's just, people would think that you had a staff of 200 with the amount of work that comes out of there. So when they find out how many people are actually doing this lion's share of work, it's just absolutely amazing. I'm always a little bit stunned by it. So thank you. It's
definitely a point of pride for us. So thank you for noticing.
As it should be. So I mentioned events earlier, and one of my absolute favorite events every year, my shot in the arm, as I always call it, is the NASO Summit. So we've talked about it with a couple of our guests previously, and I was just hoping that maybe you could tell us what the summit is, how long it's been around, and really how it's kind of evolved over time, because I know in my 20 odd years of going, it hasn't always looked the same. Could you tell us a little bit about that, or a lot about it, actually?
Sure. Yeah, the summit's really a great opportunity. It happens once a year and it moves around the country. We'll be in Montgomery, Alabama next year. And it's an exciting time because we bring leaders from all walks of life together under one roof for 2.5 days. And the state association that is hosting, in this case Alabama, has a state day associated with it where they're bringing people from around the state together. And NASO helps put that on as well. So you have hundreds, if not 1,000 or more people coming to that state day. And then, roughly 400 to 500, sometimes 600 people coming to the NASO event. But they're all leaders from all sports and all levels. And that's really what NASO is anyway. We like to say we're the melting pot of sports officials, because what you'll find at the NASO Summit is people from every level and every sport. We've got people that are representing the big leagues, if you will. You'll have the NFL leaders there, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, and others. But you're also going to have people coming from pickleball and swimming and cheer, diving, lacrosse, all kinds of sports. And they're sending leaders there. Why? Because it's a networking opportunity and it's a chance to get recharged. What people find coming out of that summit is that no matter what we're talking about, no matter how we're framing the conversations with panel sessions, small group breakouts, celebratory events where we're highlighting and really having a great time celebrating officiating, what you walk away from and what we have been hearing for more than 4 decades is that we're all in this together and we all have the same issues. It doesn't matter. So you could be having the same challenges you're having in your little pocket where you have influence, and you're going to find out people from all across the country and those around the world that come have got the same issues. So we're in there trying to find solutions together, network. The conversations continue well after the summit. That's the thing that we're most proud of, is those relationships that get developed there can last forever. They're best friends that have come out of that, or they're people that are sounding boards, say, hey, I've got this issue. What do you think? How do you handle it over there? How do you handle it at your level or your sport? And that's that melting pot flavor that we like so much about it. And quite frankly, it's a shot in our arm for our staff too. Just to get down there, get excited, see other people excited about this industry, and then celebrate officiating like nobody else. It's the best thing on the planet. And if you haven't been to one, I strongly encourage it.
Gosh, I agree with you. I look at some of the guests we've had on, and most of them are because I've met them at NASO summits and have developed these relationships. And you're talking about we all have the same problems. As you know, this past year, myself and Chris Rastatter were invited to speak at U.S. Equestrian Federation, which neither of us know anything about horses. But what we found out while we were there is everybody is doing, fighting the same battles and have the same struggles, but also have the same opportunities to celebrate and to recognize officials. So we may not understand the mechanics or the sport of someone else, of an equestrian or a rodeo. The rodeo officials certainly have been a presence at the NASO summit before. But getting to talk to people about like, hey, these are our similar struggles and how do we learn from each other? Because at the end of the day, it is just officiating. And I say just in a way of it's just officiating because we all are doing it. We all have those same issues, and melting pot is really the best way to describe the summit, and that mixture of officials and the people that you meet and the people you bounce ideas off of. I mean, I don't know how many people I've called from the summit that I've had to call and go, so I have this crazy idea. Is it crazy or am I onto something? And just people who get you. And I think that's what makes it really special, is it's a bunch of people who get it in a world where we feel probably misunderstood sometimes, or not even recognized at times. I think it's important that we know that there's people who are like-minded, and that's what the summit is for me, for sure.
No question. When you're in the thick of it, you can feel alone. You feel like you're the only one that's got this issue, this problem, this challenge. And then you get to the summit and you're finding there's just this support network from everybody. And you start to think, okay, I can handle this. I can handle this because I've got these people behind me. And that's,
sure.
It's fun. I mean, we have a session every year where we just a fun session where we show a bunch of plays, and we have national coordinators up there from the major sports and the major leagues and everything. But we also mix it up. And guess the one play that everybody was talking about that could learn from the best this year? It was a rugby play. So we've got football national coordinators up there and conference commissioners and all kinds of people up there. And rugby was the one being most discussed because there was something instructional there. I think that's the part that's so much fun for us.
And that, that's always fun with you make the call, because you use Kahoot and you're able to get everybody guessing what they think that the right call is. And of course, you have a bunch of people who are competitive by nature, so no one wants to be the one who gets it wrong. They're watching the percentages go up or down, and they don't want to be the 1% who guessed the wrong call. So that is a fun atmosphere. That's one of my favorite sessions as well. Good times. So, part of the summit is obviously the celebration aspect, and there's a gala there. So as part of that, NASO has always done a really excellent job of recognizing officials for contributions in the officiating industry or to the officiating industry. And you have several awards that allow you the opportunity to do that. Can you tell us about the awards programs presented by NASO and kind of that culminating event at the summit where those are presented?
Yeah, the gala is the culmination of the entire summit. It's always on that Tuesday night where you get to leave with that crescendo, that buildup of emotion. You just have a great celebration of officiating. It's a wonderful evening in a banquet setting. And really the main focus that evening is NASO awards, and it's highlighted by the Gold Whistle Award. Gold Whistle Award's been awarded for more than 4 decades. And it's really, in its simplest term, the Gold Whistle Award is given to somebody who's a beacon in the industry, somebody that we can just be proud of. It's not about X's and O's. It's not about accolades in the sense of the number of Super Bowls or World Series assignments or whatever it is. It's about the way you conduct yourself, and that this industry is proud. And it's just been a wonderful experience to have those awards, to take the time, and it's done by the board of directors. The board of directors has a relationship with staff, obviously. Staff does some initial vetting, makes some recommendations to the awards committee. The awards committee vets it, and then the awards committee presents it to the full board for a vote. So it's not decided here in Racine, Wisconsin. It's decided by the board of directors. And every year it just seems to be getting better and better and better. So we have that award, which is the highest honor in all sports officiating. And then we have the Mel Narrow Medallion Award, which is an NASO award. It's really for those people or organizations that have done tremendous things specifically for NASO. So the first one's more about the industry as a whole. The second one is more for work to NASO. And those people are vitally important to our history and our future. And so that is an important award to recognize NASO support. And the newest of them is the Inspire Award. And it's just that simple. It's those in this industry that inspire others to great things. And that gives us a pretty broad reach, so we can reach people in various ways, inspire us with various background stories, things that they've done, or just what they stand for. So that has been the trifecta of awards that night. We also have something small that we give out on an annual basis really throughout the year, and that's called a Great Call Award. It's anybody can nominate somebody who's done just great things in officiating at the local level, at the high school level, at any level. Somebody's done good work. This, again, isn't about your 7th state basketball assignment or anything like that. It's somebody who's giving up their time, who has spent some extra resources of theirs to do something great for officials, to represent officiating well in the community. And we can send out a Great Call Award and a letter from us on behalf of the board of directors, just thanking them for doing good works on behalf of sports officials. So it's one of our mission, it's part of our mission statement, is to honor and award, and that's the way we get to do it.
And that's one of my favorite things in the world. You've known me a long time. We've known each other a long time, and I think anytime we can give officials a moment in the spotlight is so important, because they seldom get them, and it's just nice for them to know that their work is appreciated and they are being seen, and people understand the contributions that they're making, and that's what makes those awards so special. I mean, I think of all the galas I've been to and just sitting there listening to the stories and the impact that these individuals have had on NASO, on the officiating industry overall, and just they're just good human beings. I mean, at the end of the day, what they do for officiating is exceptional, but to their core, they're just good people, and to be in a room of good people is always exciting. So definitely mark my calendar for that every year, because it's such an important aspect of the industry, and NASO has led the way in recognition for years. So you just keep up the great work with that as well.
Thank you.
So people are listening and they want to know how to become a member of NASO at NASO.org, by the way. So there's an NASO.org website where you can become a member. So can you talk about who can join NASO? What do they receive as benefits when they join?
Certainly. First of all, anybody can join NASO. In fact, there's not even an age requirement in NASO. We get that question once in a while because, like, for example, maybe in youth soccer, you might have some 12, 13, 14-year-olds starting their officiating. Can they become NASO members? And the answer is yes. We also have retired officials that still support NASO through membership. So you can go to NASO.org, or you can call us at 262-632-5448. You can join NASO, but there's an online opportunity at naso.org to join. The benefits are far-reaching. We're probably most known for two things, content and insurance. But it goes way beyond that. The content side is important. We'd like to think of ourselves as one of the leading educators of sports officials on the planet, and we do that through Referee Magazine and tons of other books, newsletters, and digital content every single day. So there's lots of opportunity to learn and be part of something. Okay. The second thing is insurance. We have a robust insurance package, and this is simply explained. You don't have to be an insurance agent and get into deep insurance lingo to learn. It's every sport, every game, at every level, you are covered. Anything other than a pickup game. If it's an organized activity of some sort, NASO insurance will cover you. That's not always the case with other insurances through other organizations. Most of you that our officials have insurance as soon as you register with someone. Okay. But you need to know that it's not going to cover everything like NASO does, so that we work in concert with those other insurances. We like to call it gap insurance, where we've thought of things and have done things over the years, especially with our partners at American Specialty Insurance, who are the best in the business, to come up with things specific for officials that you can't find anywhere else. Gap coverages, such as game call coverage. You know, in today's NIL days and high profile things where we're getting more things thrust into the courts, you could have an experience where you have to deal with something like that because you did something that they think is wrong, and now you've injured their opportunity to earn more income or get a college scholarship. It's happened. We have insurance that covers those kinds of things. Concussion insurance, the age of awareness in concussion areas, you know. There have been lawsuits where officials have been brought in a concussion lawsuit. We have coverage for those kinds of things. We call them gap coverage. Those are things only the other officials would think about that maybe your run-of-the-mill liability insurance doesn't have. So it's special in that way. It's robust in the number, you know, millions of dollars here and millions of dollars there. At the end of the day, that all gets kind of lost. Really what you want to know is that no matter what you are doing, from grade school to rec league to scrimmages, all the way up through to the professional level, your insurance is going to cover you. You don't have to worry about it. That's what we're here for. And so we're known for that. But probably the most important thing that the message needs to get out there, Dana, it's about the advocacy and the fighting every day for sports officials. Be something, have an opportunity to be something bigger than yourself. Okay. There's all different kinds of sports officials out there. Some are doing it for various reasons. But at the end of the day, if you're really into sports officiating, this association is for you. It's not for everybody, frankly. It's just not. It's never been. It's not designed to be. It's for those that are truly committed to something larger than themselves. And that's the part that's fun about it. Our members are truly dedicated to sports officiating. And I don't mean that means they're at the highest of levels. 85% of our membership is at the high school level. Yes, we have people at the professional level and the major college level and every level, but we also have people at the youth level, at the recreation level, right? And that's that melting pot again. It's those that are really into officiating. And that's the part that's fun about it. Advocacy is a big deal, especially in today's world. And we need your support. We need you to consider joining NASO so we can keep fighting the good fight every single day on behalf of sports officials.
And that's one of the things I love about the membership is the fact that high school officials could be members of something that NFL officials are a part of, and that, you know, people that they may not know personally, but they're all part of that same brotherhood and sisterhood. We go back to officiating family and knowing that there's this common good, because it is fighting for your fellow officials. Just by being a member, you're doing that. And I think that that's really special. There's not a lot of places where you are a member that give you that same sense of community, of unity. I mean, it's really a great membership organization, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And it's something that I think is so worthwhile for officials of any sport, any level. The benefits are bigger than insurance, which is important, but there's so much more to it as well. So I appreciate you deep diving that a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that. People need to understand what advocacy means, right? It's way beyond what they think. I mean, advocacy comes in a lot of forms.
It does.
We get calls every single day or emails every single day that they need help. They might not have a path forward without our help. Quite frankly, we have non-members calling us when they need help. That we have earned the reputation over all these decades that if somebody needs something, you call NASO. And we do help people that are non-members. It's quite a recruiting tool when you say, would you please consider being an NASO member now that we've helped you?
Exactly.
But we've helped them in various ways. We have voice, right? We have public relations efforts. We make position papers. We have statements that need to be made when something egregious happens in the industry. NASO might fight back a little bit in the form of press releases and public statements and social media campaigns. But it's also in the form of representing your voice as a sports official through surveys, through other things. The national survey that we've done twice now, 2017 and 2023, that we facilitated, that is a form of advocacy. That's your voice decisions and those outcomes shaping policy and moving forward. That's advocacy. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work to do that kind of thing. Advocacy comes in the form of the MICP program, Member Information and Consultation Program. Every NASO member gets 3 consults a year for free. Call us with your problem. It could be about something with a signer, something with your local association. It could be a board issue at your local association. It could be a legal issue. It could be an insurance issue. It could be a tax issue. Whatever it is, you call us. We're going to help you through that. We're going to give you some things to think about and consider, and we're going to connect you to experts in the industry so that they can help you as well. I mean, how valuable is that for your $129 a year or less when you get a special code? You can't get that kind of help on a personal level, on a personal basis like that. It's worth its weight in gold. That's where it becomes fun, because you feel like not only you're helping in a global way, but now you're helping a singular person deal with a singular problem. And that is also very, very rewarding. Advocacy also comes in the form of legislation efforts. NASO has been working tirelessly for more than 4 decades on getting legislation passed that is beneficial to sports officials. We just had our 23rd state pass assault legislation in New Hampshire. Behind the scenes, we're working with state legislators, we're working with local associations, we're working with state associations to get things done that benefit sports officials. So it's about advocacy. It's about being something that is bigger than yourself and helping us get that done. And we need your support.
That is a bargain. That's the biggest bargain. You just listed things that, I think about the legal stuff and the tax help and all of those things. That officiating is such a niche market that it's hard to find somebody who knows that the way that the people you work with know that. So to be able to have access to those individuals as a member, that you can't put a price tag on that. Like you can't pick up the phone. And I was going to say look in the phone book, which really dated me, but you can't Google someone and find somebody who specializes in officials law. Like that's not going to exist. You have to find those specialists, and to be able to have that access as a member is it's critical. And I think it's one of the things that people, when they get into officiating, they may not know that. When you start, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions to ask, and you don't understand that there might be a time where you need to reach out to someone at that level's. Making that so really easily accessible for officials is a huge benefit. You talked about something that really led me into our next question, and that's the surveys. 2017, 2023, NASO conducts this massive survey of the officiating community, and that has been widely used. You see it quoted in the media. At the NFHS, we've used it a ton. It's really been something that has helped the officiating industry overall. From 17 to 23, it was more than double the number of participants in that survey, which means officials wanted their voices heard, which was outstanding. To get anybody to complete a survey of that length, unbelievable to have that many people do it. But can you tell us about the survey and some of its really key findings that have maybe been guiding principles for NASO, or just things that maybe you thought were interesting about it? Because that's a rabbit hole that you can get stuck in for about 10 hours if you start looking around that survey, and I love it. So if you could tell us about that, Bill.
Yeah, we're really proud of it. If you go to naso.org, you'll find the link to the survey. And we outsourced some great technology and created these dashboards for all the questions. So it's visually represented on that site, and you can click and drill down into the specifics that you want to know. For example, if you want to know what high school officials in Iowa that work football and basketball only said, you can drill down like that. You can drill down by gender, by race, by level, by sport, all kinds of things, and you'll see the comparison of the numbers, which is really cool. We've had a lot of organizations that have been able to hone in on what their needs are in their particular state or their particular organization by doing just that. So it's fun to play around with. You can't get lost for many hours doing that.
I've done it. Guilty.
We asked more than 150 questions, and when we talked to survey experts, they said, you're nuts. There's no way. Nobody's going to fill out a survey that's going to take them 45 minutes to an hour. Well, what we knew that they didn't know is that referees aren't asked their opinion very much. They're often told what to do. So I think we took advantage of that and had tens of thousands of people respond to this survey. It gives us a great cross-section of the country. And I want to thank all the organizations that sent it out on our behalf at all levels to encourage their officials to join. This survey is not just of NASO members, importantly. They're of all officials that had a link to that survey. So it went far and wide. There's some really important things that you come out of it. And the fun part is to compare it to the 2017 survey to see where the trend lines are. But it's changing policy. It's changing attitudes. It's changing investment. It is a critically important thing. If you're going to go in and ask for certain things as a leader, to have some data to back it up. It's not your opinion anymore. It's not your opinion on how things are going. Now you have data to back it up and fight for your officials, and get the funding you need, and get the support that you need. We learned a few important things. Sportsmanship continues to decline. It's bad. That's not a shock to anybody, but you now have the data to back it up. It moved in the wrong direction between 2017 and 2023. We're also getting older. Again, not a shock, right? But now you have the data to back that up. Why is that important? Because if we're going to invest in recruiting and retention, you got to convince people who aren't in our industry that this is a real issue. Everybody knows it anecdotally, but it's a real issue. Now you have data to support your real issue, to make those arguments and get your voice heard. That's, to me, the most exciting part, is that you can utilize all that content to your advantage. We know the pandemic, based on the survey, pushed us over a cliff. This whole shortage was moving in the wrong direction for 20 years, frankly. We did a cover story back in 1998 that said not enough refs. I mean, we knew it was coming. We felt it then. Interestingly, you didn't feel it in the quote-unquote major sports. Now you feel it everywhere. And it was moving in a bad direction for a really long time. Now, the pandemic pushes it over a cliff. So those people who have been doing it 30 years, 35 years, the survey shows this, they just didn't come back. Kind of got out of your routine. You know, you used to go into your association meetings and your games. Now you had a year or two off, depending on the state you were in, forced upon you. And you didn't get back on the bike. You didn't get back into it. And we thank those people for their 30 and 35 years of service. They did a tremendous job. We wish they would have come back. They didn't. So that put even more pressure on all these organizations to heavily invest in recruiting and retention. People always want to talk about recruiting. That's only half the battle. We have to keep them when we get them. Retention is equally important, if not more important. We all know from the numbers that if we can get them into the third year, we got a good chance of keeping them. So what are we doing to make that happen? That the survey supports all of that stuff. We also asked some very difficult questions that people were honestly answering. Things about race and gender in the industry. What are we feeling about that? What's happening on that topic? Well, we do see that we've moved the needle positively in underrepresented groups. We have a slight uptick in the number of underrepresented groups that are officiating. But we also talk to them about how they want to be treated, how they should be treated. And you know what? By and large, the survey indicates they want to be treated just like everybody else. We want to open some doors, but at the end of the day, you got to officiate. You don't care what color you are. You don't care what race you are. You don't care what background you are. You don't care what gender you are. You don't care if you're genderless. It doesn't matter. Can you officiate? At the end of the day, I think the industry's moved in a very good direction in that way, especially over the last 10 years. But the survey supports that. We need to open doors, but we also can't coddle and promote too fast. Otherwise, we're putting them in a position to fail. That goes for anybody who's new into officiating, regardless of your background. So the survey indicates all of that, supports everything that I just said, and then some. So dig into it. You're going to have some fun.
It is fun. I remember one day I was in the office and I was looking for a very specific data set. So I went into the survey, I clicked on my filters, got what I needed, but then I got a little excited and I just kept clicking and unclicking and filtering and unfiltering. And like 4 hours later, I had the answer I needed already, but I just kept looking, because once you look for one thing, it spurs something else. Like, oh, I also want to look this up. If you're going to get in that survey, make sure you have some time. It's not going to be something that you're going to be in and out of quickly, because it's such robust information. How many million data points is it, Bill?
Yeah, we had 6 million the first time, and we had more than 14 million the second time.
14
14
million
million
data points.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And it's such good information. As I mentioned, for my desk at the NFHS, I certainly use it all the time. As we look at recruitment, retention, what officials want and need, I refer to it constantly. So it's been such a valuable resource for NFHS. I know for all the other organizations that are working for and with officials. So
The other thing that it
it's
spawned,
awesome.
Dana, was really exciting too. The other thing it spawned was researchers themselves at the university level. Through our data and research committee led by Sandra Serafini, we probably got a dozen people a year who are actual bona fide researchers professionally, who are now getting access to that survey and those 14 million data points. And they're digging into officiating issues, doing even further research on sports officiating. That might have been happening once in a blue moon in the old days. But now you've got the support of all that data to be able to dig in, and they are doing that. So it's inspired further research onto specific topics in officiating. And that's really exciting because that can only mean good things for us as we learn more about ourselves and learn more about the industry as a whole through actual bona fide research.
Yeah, that is exciting. That's such a shift because we never had people outside of officiating who were really interested in it. So when you see other people that are going, wait a minute, I have 14 million data points to look at. Like I can sink my teeth into that. That is such a difference from probably 20 years ago where nobody outside of this industry was really kind of poking around in it. So I think that that's a cool change of mentality, really.
Yeah.
So you hit on a couple of items through the survey, but in your perspective as president of NASO, what do you feel are some of the largest challenges facing individual officials and really the industry overall?
Some of them are the same that we've always talked about. Some of them are fairly new. Respect for the industry still continues to be a challenge. We do have a lot of good initiatives being done with various governing bodies and state associations, local associations to finally maybe stem the tide of how we're treated, but it's still tough. At the end of the day, there's room for improvement in this area. Just the overall respect level of sports officiating has got to continue to move in a good direction. It's funny because when you talk to people around the country on that topic, they'll say they respect sports officials, but until they're in the heat of the battle, until they're in the actual game and they change into different human beings, and they step out of that and then they say, well, yeah, of course I support sports officials. Well, did you just see how you conducted yourself? I mean, they don't. They truly don't see it. So we can have all these campaigns and these statements and these efforts and these viral things going on. They're all good to do. But at the end of the day, people need to respect what we're doing. I think it's been challenging because the expectations have shifted so much. I can speak to that in my more than 3 decades here. The old adage of, hey, let's just overcoach and overplay and overcome any potential or perceived officiating mistakes and win the day. You don't see a lot of that anymore. Now it's blame, blame, blame. Have your built-in excuse ready. As soon as it goes downhill for you, you've got your built-in excuse. And quite frankly, I think part of it is the social media nature of everything, but part of it is also replay. Replay has been a blessing and a curse for this industry. You know, there's been billions with a B dollars invested in replay if you count all the levels. They got to do what they got to do to get plays right for all kinds of obvious reasons. But it has changed how people perceive sports officiating as a whole at all levels. They want, even at the youth level, maybe more so at the youth competitive level, they want instant gratification like you have replay. You don't. You're not going to. The high school association is facing tremendous pressure in this area to get it right. And when they're not getting it right because they don't have the use of technology or it doesn't fit their mission at this time, what are people doing now? They've done more now than ever before. They're running to a court of law. They're getting injunctions. We just heard another one today coming out of New York. An injunction over a football game. You know, here we go again. We did a story in the magazine recently, there's a wrestling situation here in our home state of Wisconsin. It's been going in the court system for 5 years. 5 years, all the way up to the state Supreme Court here in Wisconsin. This is over judgment calls. These are judgment calls. And it's got a chilling effect. It's got a tremendous chilling effect. But when the first reaction from the participants, the coaches, the parents, sometimes the school administrators is, we need retribution. We need to fix this now. And it becomes a political game because, quite frankly, that superintendent or that principal that supports that is just trying to be more popular in their home city, show that they're fighting for their kids. They know they're probably not going to win, and often they don't, but it's all a game now. And when the courts get involved, it's bad for everybody. And they've unfortunately shown them more of a willingness to get involved than at any time before. And NASO is fighting every day against it. So the expectations are unfair on sports officials. I make this statement all the time, Dana, in the speeches, and they just get blown away. You know, what's the average mistake made at the NFL level? How many in a game, right? Is it 2, 3, 4 mistakes a game? Most people don't know unless they're obvious, right? But there's mistakes that happen every game. That's why they get graded on every play. Well, then how many mistakes are happening at the major college level or the small college level? So what's your expectation for this high school crew tonight? We might have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mistakes, the most of which you won't know, but they don't treat it that way. They have the same expectations at the freshman B game that they do for the Super Bowl crew. And it's not fair and it's not right. So I think that's changed over the years. Retention continues to be a challenge. Technology is a blessing and a curse. More legal challenges than ever before. But overall, it's still worth fighting for. Fighting for that respect. We could disagree with calls. We could disagree with judgment. We can even hate the rules. But don't disrespect what we stand for. I don't expect you to understand it because only a sports official does, but you got to respect it. And quite frankly, get better and overcome with what your perceived problem is with us, right? There's an old NFL coach who I won't name, who was famous for never sending in a play to be reviewed by the league, never, because he didn't want to give himself or his team any excuse. They never sent a play in. Now, you hear about teams at the college level and the NFL, they're sending in 60, 70 plays out of what, 120 or 140? You really think we got half of them wrong? It's not possible. But that's the kind of world we're living in today. You got athletic directors going to the podium blasting sports officials, athletic directors at the major college level, having the audacity to grab the mic because you're frustrated. What kind of leader is that? It's absolute garbage. It's not like it used to be. And it's not fair. And now you come out with an apology the next day, but it's not an apology. It's not an apology. It's just I shouldn't have done it publicly. I should have done it behind the scenes. It's gutless. And that's what we're standing up against. And that's happening. People see it. Let me ask yourself, when you hear stuff like that in that particular state, how many sports officials did you turn off that day? Who wants to go do this when you hear crap like that and then they're barely held accountable? It's unacceptable.
That is a battle we fight all the time. And I mean, you and I could talk for hours just about that. And there's that old adage of officials are the only people who are expected to be perfect and get better as the game goes on. That is so true because it's just such a weird situation. Everybody else can make mistakes. The receiver can drop passes. The quarterback can throw interceptions. You can miss shots in a basketball game. You can strike out in a baseball game. And that's okay. But when it comes to the official, you have to be 100% all the time. And that's the unfair part. And I know neither of us are the kind of people that would ever say, oh, life's unfair. But when you talk about things that aren't fair, that's not fair. To have this uneven expectation, everybody else can screw up, but the officials can't. It's human. And when you hear, and I know you and I have probably talked about this before, when you hear people talking about, well, they should just have robots umpire or officiate. Well, guess who makes robots? Human beings. So there's always going to be, no matter what, it's never going to be perfect, just like players and coaches aren't either. So I just, officials are as much a part of the game as any other people on the field, court, pitch, mat, but that expectation and that lack of respect, that is, for us, I know the two of us that are talking right now, that's a hill worth dying on. And it's something that we're passionate about and something that NASO 1000% leads the rest of us in doing is that fight, that good fight. So I appreciate that. And that got me all frothy and fired up. So I'll bring myself down for this next question. So we talked about the challenges, but one of the things we really try to do is talk about all the good of officiating, because we know that is plentiful. So in your opinion, Bill, why do you think someone should officiate? What are the best parts of officiating to you?
Just my own personal experiences, as I shared a little bit. The old Jerry Barkbright adage, my best friends are sports officials. I think almost every one of us can say that. I certainly do. It's the relationships, it's the people. There's that sort of bunker mentality, if you will, that once you go through it and you go through those wars in quotes with your brethren, there's something special there. And you don't forget that. Even when maybe they come and go and they retire, you still stay in contact and things like that. It's those relationships. But to me, it's about the life skills that you learn from officiating that you can apply in every walk of your life, with your family, with your spouse, with your job, with your extended family, interacting with people, learning how to be a great communicator, learning how to stay calm under tense situations, being punctual, following through on professional responsibilities, learning how to fail and come back. If your officials are being honest, we've all had sleepless nights. We've had that play that we just can't get out of our head. And I know people on the outside world would never understand that, but we beat ourselves up a lot in this industry. Beat each other up a lot too, and that's unfortunate and has to stop. But we beat ourselves up because we're just replaying that play over and over again that we might have gotten wrong, or that rule we misapplied. And so we care deeply, but there's lessons in that too. Dana, there's lessons in that too. We've got to be able to park that, compartmentalize it, and be strong enough to come back from that. There is a tremendous life lesson in that athletics can give you through sports officiating. We don't have wins and losses to measure our success. We measure our success with ourselves and with our crew. Only we know when we do a job worth celebrating, if you will. I don't care ever when a player or a coach comes up and says, "Great job." You don't know if I've done a great job or a terrible job. You have no idea what you're talking about. You might be respectful. I take it respectfully, but it doesn't matter to me. The only people who know that we did a great job is our crew, ourselves, maybe our coordinators or supervisors. That means a lot more than the coach who wants to glad hand you on the way off on the quarter field, because they might have you coming up in a month from now in another game. It's nice. They're trying to be nice in some cases. Other times they're just trying to work you over. But you have to have wisdom to sort that out. And to me, that's what sports officiating teaches you. On that ground floor, there's an inner strength about you that you can't replicate and you can't fake. Anybody can put the striped shirt on, walk out there, take a few classes, learn a few things. But when all hell's breaking loose and you're in the eye of the hurricane, you find out pretty quickly if you've got it in you to be a sports official or not. And the first person who learned that, other than yourself, is your crew. Is it in there? If it's in there, we can teach you all the mechanics and all the rules, but you got to have a little chutzpah, a little strength in there to be able to get it done. And if we could much rather take a young person who's all fired up and teach them to communicate better and calm down, like in my early years, rather than somebody who just doesn't have that grind, have that fight, because this is a fight. This is a fight. You got to fight through all the emotion. And when you're in that eye of the hurricane, there's nothing better. You got to love it. You have to love that. It's not for everybody, but when you're good at that, you're going to be good at everything else in your life. Everything else.
That's such a good answer. Like all of that. I don't even have anything to say, so I'm just going to go to the next question. What are some projects or initiatives that are going on within NASO right now that you're really excited about?
We got a few things brewing. One more on the publishing side with REI, but we are thrilled with our NFHS relationship and the expansion there and all the things that we're doing. It's all the manuals and the newsletters and all the things that are expanding there. And that just, again, to me, it isn't about selling books and newsletters. It's about respect. It's about a national organization like the NFHS having enough respect for us to partner with us because of the brand that we've built and the work that we've done. It shows respect. And it also shows respect for sports officials because these governing bodies that are purchasing all these things are showing respect by investing in officiating. Way more than about the numbers. That to me, what's most important, what to us here in Racine is most important. So that relationship continues to expand. The summit support from the NFHS is huge, and the state associations, it's huge. Association Advantage is one of the best things we do, and it's probably the least talked about. Association Advantage, in a nutshell, is an association for associations. In many, many state offices, the local associations are the lifeblood of it. They do all the training, all the recruiting, all the support, sometimes assigning, sometimes evaluating. We started in an organization more than 3 decades ago now, to support local associations. And that is to train them to be more professional in the area of bylaws, or how to run a board of directors, how to have an evaluation program, what are the proper procedures and insurances you should have, how do you conduct meetings, how do you get feedback from your members, all things, because virtually every association in this country is run by volunteers. There are people that officiate or now retired officials, but they're all volunteers. So we try to have this turnkey program, if you will, that helps them do their jobs. And it's really great content. We're very excited about it. We're going to revamp some of it in the coming years to make it more accessible to more people, have more digital offerings through it. But if we believe that local associations are so vitally important, we got to find a way to support them. State associations and other governing bodies need to find a way to support them. They can support them through Association Advantage because they do need help. There's only so many hours in the day. You know, most of ours in our local area, we got great local associations around here. Wisconsin Basketball Officials Association, for example. They're all officiating too. So, you know, you're going to go work 2 or 3 or 4 nights a week, and then you're also going to run meetings on a particular night, plus all this preseason stuff. You got to get ready for those meetings, the elections and the board meetings and all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time and effort, a lot. You've got to have a tremendous passion for this industry and for helping others to be on a board like that, or to have a training position in one organization like that. So if NASO can support them through Association Advantage, we're here for you. We love to do it. The one other program we have that's really making waves that we're excited about is Say Yes to Officiating. Say Yes to Officiating.
Got the pin and everything.
The pin and everything. This is just more advocacy, but fighting the good fight to put stuff in people's hands for recruiting and retention. It's all on our website. It's all free. It's our gift back to the industry. If you need help trying to speak to people about how to officiate, how to get started, it's all there. We've got downloadable materials. We've got video materials. We got handouts. We got all kinds of stuff so that when you're talking to people about why you want to become a sports official, you've got some support materials through that. It's a really exciting program, and it's gaining a lot of traction around the country. Powerful words, Say Yes to Officiating. It's been a really great brand, and it's going to continue to grow. And as we continue to invest in it, and the board continues to support that.
Absolutely. And some really good videos available on the website for Say Yes to Officiating with some powerful voices and powerful messages for sure. So that's awesome. There's just so many things going on. And as you mentioned, the relationship between NFHS and NASO is certainly something that is exciting because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of local associations who need resources. They're all working full-time jobs. Their job is not necessarily to be that, president of a local association, but they're trying. So being able to have those resources available through Association Advantage, it's such good material. And it really is kind of that guidebook because, as we know, sometimes somebody walks into that position because they drew a short straw and now they're running an association. They don't even know where to start. So to have a kind of I think we've talked about association in a box a little bit to get started. That's just an exciting thing because then they have some guide. And obviously we know every state, we've got 51 state associations for the NFHS. They all do things differently, but there's enough information that regardless of how your state runs, there's something in that for you. You might have to tweak it a little bit here and there based on your state bylaws or whatever, but it's a really good guide, and it makes somebody feel a little less intimidated. It's a little less daunting when they have something that's like, oh, well, here's how I run a meeting, or here's how I write bylaws. So that's really good stuff. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
So every week on the From A to Zebra podcast, we have a mission to educate, elevate, and excite. So what would your message be to the average sports fan or non-official about officiating? Something to educate them.
Boy, that's a tough one. That might be the toughest question of the afternoon here, Dana.
I couldn't make it all easy for you. I had to throw one little curveball in there.
If you love sports, try it. There are people out here who are some of our best sports officials that never, ever had the thought of sports officiating because they treated us like garbage when they were players or when they were coaches or when they're parents. We're finding success with a lot of people whose kids are done playing. They've been chasing their kids around for 10, 15, 20 years. Now they're in their 40s, maybe early 50s, and going, now what? We can still get plenty out of them. We can turn them to sports fishing. Not everybody has the time or the wherewithal to become a coach. So there's another whole avenue. And I think the fun part about this is when you see sports through our lens, it's a whole nother world. So embrace that challenge and give it a shot. At the very least, you're going to fail miserably, and you might have a little more respect for us at the end of the day, because you might try it for a year and say, I can't do this. That might be okay too, but you gave it a shot. So step up and give it a shot. Many people have found value in that and created those lifelong friendships. I would say also, back off. If you're going to go to a game and you're at a high school level or youth level, back off. It is not your $6 ticket that buys you the right to treat people the way you treat us. Stop it. You know it's wrong. You wouldn't get away with it in any other setting. Nobody comes to your job and screams at you like that all day. Quite frankly, the best case scenario we have is that we have cameras pointed back at the fans, and then we show their employers or their spouses or their significant others how they behaved that day, curb some behavior in a heartbeat. So knock it off. It's just that simple. Leave the game alone. Let the coaches coach, let the players play, let the referees referee. Have fun, cheer, go nuts. Be disappointed. Heck, you can even boo once in a while. But don't go beyond that, because you are having a tremendous negative effect on the next generation of sports officials. It's hard for people to think beyond themselves, but we need more people to think beyond themselves. Their behavior is impacting sports as a whole. And you know what? This is a hell of a bad way to end this whole thing on, but if you don't, we're going to keep down this path and your sports aren't going to be played. And if you're so selfish to think that who cares, my kid's done playing, you should check yourself a little bit, because this needs to continue. There are so many wonderful things through athletics that continue to turn out tremendous human beings through athletics. We need to give those kids a chance to do that. And one of the ways we give those kids a chance to do that is by having great sports officiating. And the way we have great sports officiating is we support them, we invest in them, and we leave them the frick alone so they can do their jobs.
That is a mic drop right there. But you said you didn't want it to be negative, so we're going to ask one last question, because this is an opportunity for some uplift. So as we close this, we want to give you, Bill Topp, NASO president, the opportunity to really address officials from around the country and around the world. What would you like to say to them?
Thank you. Thank you for the commitment and what you're doing. This isn't easy. Embrace each other. Don't criticize each other. We are in this together. You've got to believe in something bigger than yourself. And I'm talking about when you're a high school official and you're watching an NFL game, an NBA game, MLB game, we don't criticize those officials. We don't want them to do it to us either. We are truly all in this together. Please believe that, because it means something. And the other thing I would say to all this nation's sports officials is step up and take care of business. If there's anything I've seen in the last 20 years as a trend, is that we haven't had the strength to enforce the rules like we should. And that leads to our own behavior problems in the games. Step up, take care of business, and let the chips fall where they may, without fear or favor. If you're thinking about your next assignment, or you're thinking about your potential downgrade, or you're thinking you're not going to get supported, tough crap. Take care of business and the heck with everything else. I think once you start to do that in a professional way, in following the rule books and following the guidebook and enforcing all of the rules, not the ones that you see fit, you're going to be respected by your peers, and you might have a little more respect for yourself. Step up and take care of business.
Bill Topp. Not a lot more to say after that. 2 mic drops in one show, by the way. So that was well done.
I've been practicing.
NASO president, thank you for your years of support, friendship. You're a great colleague. You're a great person to work with, and I admire everything that you do with NASO. Your passion for officiating is top notch, and I appreciate your mentorship over the years as well on a personal level. And certainly thank you for spending the time with us on the From A to Zebra podcast. Looking forward to the next time we speak to each other, which I believe is tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be fun.
Yes.
Not on the podcast, but thank you for everything. And for those of you listening, thanks for joining us. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X to find episode recaps and previews of upcoming episodes. We hope you're having a happy holiday season, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to hit that like button, follow, subscribe, and also catch From A to Zebra on Instagram at from_A_2_zebra, Facebook From A to Zebra podcast, and on X at From A to Zebra.